How's it going, guys? Today we're making a Russian deck using the new Russian Marines in Broken Arrow. First, we just have to wait for this slot to be filled. This is about to be filled here, and then once it is, we can press launch, and then we can go back to the arsenal. So we're just waiting for some players there. So we're going to create a battle group. We're going to call it Russian Marine, and essentially we're going to be playing. You pick two brigades in this, right? So you can either pick Marines, or you can pick guard tanks, or you can pick airborne, and sometimes it breaks, right? So they're called coastal troops. So we're going to go for coastal troops and tanks, because I don't see the point in going for coastal troops and air. You see that it would give us a lot of planes if we went for coastal troops and air. So that is something you can do. But what I find is useful is having the having a lighter brigade, such as coastal troops or VDV, and then this guy's got to ready up. Come on, bro. And then backing it up with armor once you secure an early position with a heli rush or something. So we're just going to press launch here, and while we're making the deck, we're going to be searching for a game, because that's the way Broken Arrow works. So we're going to be going for Marines and tanks today. Russian Marine Tank Division. And I'm going to go into Create. So first tab, Recon tab. It's really, you get a lot of options here. So Spetsnaz are really good close range infantry. This is the stat you want to look for. It's optics, which is how good your recon is at reconning. So if you look at the normal Razvedka here, these are just standard recon troops. They've only got 1700 recon ability. These guys are divers, and they can go underwater and they can shoot underwater, which is pretty cool, but they've only got 1700 recon ability, whereas the Spetsnaz have the bestest recon ability. They've got 2000 recon ability, and it's a stronger squad, so I think there's a way to compare these. Yep, so just comparing the two squads, Spetsnaz have 2 more guys, which means they've got more hit points because they've got more men. That's the second stat here, this one hit points, so 30 versus 25. Oh, I see, this is armor. Okay, 8 armor versus 10 armor. There's only one more guy, 6 versus 5. But they've got better spotting ability, and they have the same speed, they have the same stealth, they can carry a bit more because there's one more of them, and they have the ability to be dropped out of a plane or a plane. So they're just way, way, way better for 10 more points. So why wouldn't you bring them? For 10 more points, you get a much better squad. So another point to note is that they've got no anti-tank, right? But what you can do is you can change them from either a close-range squad, which in this game is not the best thing ever, because there are very, very few situations where you need a close-range squad in this game. Generally, if you run up to an enemy, you're dead by the time you reach him. And so there's not much need for a close-range squad. So instead you can bring fire support. And these guys now get 2 SVDSs, as opposed to the silenced one under assault. So this is like a silenced gun, whereas this is a long-range one. And they also get this sniper rifle, which can be used against thin-skinned vehicles, because it's basically like a 50 cal. It's a Russian 50 cal even. I'm playing too much Warno. In terms of what we want them in, I would like them in a BTR 90 because that's nice and fast, and it's got a Conkers on it. You could bring them in a BMP 3, which has more armor. Your armor ratings are up here, so it's got 100 front armor, whereas this only has 60. But it's a lot slower. It's a lot slower. So this is 70 speed, 74. Oh, different forwards and reverse speeds in this game. Whereas this is 100, so if you buy these guys at the start, they can get there pretty fast, which is what you want, basically. And you can start upgrading this with, so you can put some grenade launchers on it, or you can put a 100mm cannon as opposed to a 30mm cannon, and then it's a bit better against, because it's now got an ATGM, in addition to but you lose the Conker's ATGM, but you get a barrel-launched ATGM. I don't really see the point in that. This one's the interesting one because it replaces the Conker's, which has 1600 range and 11 damage, with a Cornet, which has 12 damage. what's the point? I feel like for 30 points, that's a bit of a waste. So, not going to bother with that, but for 10 more points, you can get a lot more armor. You can get a lot more armor. So, there's got 2 armor values here. One's kinetic armor, which is tank projectiles, and the other is heat armor, which is like ATGMs and stuff like that. So 180 front armor actually makes it better than this one. Although this, yeah, this can get ECM, so electronic countermeasures, which reduce enemy accuracy, but it can still hit you. You've actually now got a BTR 90, which has more armor than the BMP3, and you know it's got ATGMs and everything you need. So that's what we want, and I would like to open with quite a few of these. So let's kit that out. I want to do a wheeled opener, right? So another good option is you can bring these really cheap BRDM2s just to cover ground and stuff like that. You can see we've still not found a game yet. I can just change this apparently while we're searching. Although it does let me pick it again once I'm in game, so I'm not sure why it does that. But yeah, we're searching away there. So back to the deck that we're making. You can up armor these as well, although it's probably not worth it. And you see somebody's left there, getting a bit bored. Somebody's sending me Steam messages now. It wasn't the guy that just left. So I'd like a few of these. We'll see if we can afford more. The other thing it's cool to get is a T90M. You can get tanks in your recon tab. And yeah, so its stealth is 1.25. Whereas if we go to... Let's just save this. If we go to the tank tab, you see the stealth here is 1. So the recon tabs actually do have higher stealth, but they are more expensive. You see, this is 255, and I pressed the wrong button there. Just need these guys to ready up. They'll ready up in their own time. Tell them to ready up while we search for a game, while we build our deck. I can't even type anymore. Typing broke as well. So this is 300, whereas the other tank is 255. Right, so you are paying for that additional availability. What I really like to do in this game, and we'll talk about it more when we get to the tank tab, is have a couple really heavy front tanks with active protection system, as much armor as you can put on them, and then behind them you get a bunch of tanks that can shoot the same range. So this is 1400 meters. Right, this obviously won't be able to shoot 1400 meters because it is literally a PT-76. But you know, okay, so this is the Armata, which is actually the best tank. So that's also 1400 meters, but it has it does have more armor actually. It also has active protection. So this is the tank you want as your front tank, and then behind that you can put something like a cheapo T80BV. Sadly, the range is a bit less, which is frustrating because it means that it would make it harder to micro. Or you can get this one, which is still less range. Or you can get this one, which is less range. Okay, so it's literally just the Armata that goes that far. No, and it's this one. Okay, so, you know, you got to do a bit of micro. We're going to launch the game now. We're going to keep searching. And we're definitely going to find a game. Definitely going to find a game while we make this deck. So we will get back to this, but basically the idea is you get a couple super heavy front tanks. So you can get... What is that? That's a different ATGM on the tank. So that's fire and forget, and that's semi-active. So yeah, you do want the fire and forget one because it can fire faster because you shoot it and then you'll start reloading the next one. Whereas the other one, you've got to guide it in. So you do want to pay those extra 10 points, and you can get even more armor. Although that's 30 points for 100 armor, and it's only against heat. And it doesn't even help the top armor, so that's not worth it. So we'll get 2 Armatas without the extra armor. And then back them up with just a bunch of T80BVs. And, you know, you can get all sorts to, like, pad out the armor, but the point is we don't need armor. We just need guns now because we've got the armor. So you just get a bunch of T80BVs, as many as you can get. There are other choices. So this is an anti-tank. This guy's got an animation on him. He looks pretty funny if we can get there. And this also shoots pretty far, given how cheap it is. Like, a lot of people just constantly buy the most expensive thing, but it can be worth buying something that's cheap. So you can turn it into an anti-air platform if you want. But if you buy the anti-air one, then you can't buy the regular one. So I'd rather not do that and buy a special, because look, if I add that like that, right, and it's got the anti-air, if I try and change this, it changes it on that as well. So there's no point really. So this is also going to be my, there's probably no point in up armoring that by 5, but I can't see that really helping very much. And, you know, these are all turning it into different weapons, basically. This is now an IFV, right? So we want that anti-tank gun action, right? We want loads of anti-tank guns to pad out our armatas. And, yeah, we could use some infantry, anti-infantry support. So this is the Terminator. It's got 2 auto cannons. And it should have a bunch of grenade launchers. There we go, 2 grenade launchers, but you got to pay extra for it. And you can get it. You can get additional ERA, but that's only on the sides. Although it does give you 1 more HP, I don't think it's worth it, basically. So get a couple of those. And you see that, because we're a tank division, we can afford a lot of tanks. So next step, I guess, would be the T90, because that's also another one that you can spam out. Oh, actually, this is the total. I'm very sorry, guys. This is the total. This is the one within the tabs. So that's but yeah, we're gonna be trying to spam. We're gonna be trying to spam things out. I think it'd be funny if we can have like a proper funny. It's probably not worth it, but for 30 points, you know, it's pretty funny to see how many of these we can get on the field. Backed up by the armatas, right? You got to remember that. You got to remember to back them up with the armatas. So the whole point is you've got a heavy tank, and then behind that you've got increasingly strange waves of rubbish. So every time somebody leaves, it resets my deck there. But yeah, we'll get a game eventually, guys. Don't worry about it. We'll get a game eventually. So that's the vehicle tab, but I didn't finish the recon tab. So chances are you do want some recon tanks, because they are very cool. And there you go. So we're now searching again. I'm sure we'll find a game today, guys. I'm sure we'll find a game today. Don't worry about it. We'll get a game. So this is another place that you can bring, you know, some... because these guys have 1400 meters range as well and all that. So it can be worth it. I think the COD for 5 points is good. Especially if you end up against like a helicopter or something. Can really help you. Because it's, you know, 0.75 and so on. Whereas this is... 1 damage, and I'm pretty sure it's got more range. Sadly, it resets this every time. Yeah, it's got more range and stuff. It can really help you. It's only 5 points. And you can get extra optics. You can put a GoPro on top of your tank so you can see further. So that's obviously worth getting. And, yeah, so we're just, you know, somebody left the lobby again there. Can't really say I blame them. And probably can't afford a 3rd one of those yet. So can we afford... Great. And then we've got 90 points, which we can spend on... What? We can just buy this in case we need it. I can't see us really needing it. Or we can get this. What even is this? It's a recon platform, I suppose. And it has 2,400 optics, which is actually pretty high. But, I mean... Yeah, the advantage is that it can be used to laze targets, so I guess that can work. I mean, we'll see. Yeah. And yeah, we can not get 2 of them. So as you can see, people need to ready up. They need to ready up, guys. But when I type ready, nothing shows up. And we can't launch until they've all readied. This guy's called himself Japan's Unconditioner. I do wonder what he's trying to say there. But sadly, we can't tell him to ready because the chat doesn't work in this game. Really good game. But he heard our brainwaves there. We got him with the brainwaves. I'm sure he'll find a game. Don't worry about that, guys. So we finished the recon tab. Hooray. That took us about 15 minutes. So back to infantry tab, right? And we sorted out the vehicles as well, although could probably fit something else in there. So let's talk about the vehicles. If we swap the T80BV out for a T90, what do we get? Let's have a look. The T90 has a lot more front armor, interesting. And, you know, the gun is apparently better. Oh, okay, so it's an upgraded version of the gun, but it reloads slower. But the additional armor and the ECM for 20 points is probably worth it. Because it's got 30% ECM as well. So actually, I've changed my mind about this. We're going to get rid of this whole card. I'm going to replace it with this one. We're going to get 6 of those instead. And sadly, we can't... Oh, we need to launch again. Don't worry, guys. We're going to get a game any second now. Sadly, we can't rearrange these. I would like this to be there, but it's not the end of the world. But yeah, that's an interesting trade-off, isn't it? I do wonder why anybody would take the T80BV. Is it something to do with the ammo? No, it's not, because I've even got more ammo, and I've got an ATGM on the T90. So the T90 just seems like a much better choice. It's only 20 points more. Interesting. And yeah, if you want to upgrade them, you got to pay a lot of money, which we're not going to be paying, because that is against the point. So we've sorted out the vehicle tab, and now we can do the infantry tab. We're getting there. So Cherny Beretti, these are Russian Marines, and you can either bring an RPG-27 or an RPG-28. For 20 extra points, it's, I mean, damage 9, pen 650, damage 10, pen 900. Can be good, but like, you know, 2 to 400 meters. 2 to 400 meters. I think it's not worth 20 points. Although, given how expensive they are, I guess you probably do want them to be able to kill tanks. So let's do that. Sadly, we can only bring them in this tracked transport, which is going to take ages to get there. It's a marine thing, right? So we could put an autocannon on it for 10 points. It's probably worth it. It's only 10 points. And we can put ERA on it, which is probably not worth it, given that this is basically a battle taxi. I don't actually want it to be fighting at all. So we should probably take the gun off it as well. Although, nah, having an autocannon is really good against infantry. Like, that can be really, really, really useful. So let's do that, and we'll bring 2 of them and 2 of them. You can also mix and match transport. So if you've got somebody else coming in a wheeled transport, like these Warno Strelki, who we can assume are like mountain troops, because it's got a mountain in the background, and there's some mountains up here. Then, yeah, so these have Metis, which is, you know, a medium-range ATGM. Oh, well, it's short-range for an ATGM, but it goes a lot further than, for example, the rockets, which are on this, 400 meters, whereas this is going 800 meters. So I want as many of these as money can buy, because Metis squads are really, really useful, taking out infantry and good against vehicles and stuff, and they're quite cheap. There's no customization option, but yeah, they've also got, you know, grenade launchers and all sorts. So we want 4 of them. And in terms of transport options, we could bring them in this, but it costs a lot more. And for 5 points, I can actually make this pretty much as armored, right? So this is 60, 150, whereas this is 100, 100, right? So this will probably still die to a tank round, but it'll be able to survive more ATGMs on missiles than this, and ATGMs and missiles are way more prevalent than tank rounds in this game. I don't know if you've noticed from playing. What's also prevalent is not being able to find a game, but I'm sure we'll be able to sort that out before we finish building the deck here. So I like the Warno Strelki, and I like the cheap transport. Then there's other options here, so we, you know, you can get SPG-9s, and they've got 1,000 meters range, but you compare it to a Conkers, which has 1,600 meters range, and the question you've got to ask yourself is, what do you need the SPG-9 for? It works against infantry, whereas the Conkers doesn't, right? The Conkers can only shoot vehicles, but and even you can even get a Conkers M, which is even better, so we should probably get that. It's only 10 points more. But in what situation do you need to shoot a guy 1,000 meters away where you're not going to have, you know, some sort of something like this that can just do it anyway? So I don't think this is very useful, and it's more expensive than the Conkers, so I don't see the point. Having said that, you know, also it does have damage against vehicles as well, but that's what the Conkers does better. So the advantage, I suppose, is that active protection systems also can destroy SPG-9 rounds, so there's literally no point in bringing that ever for that price, so don't bother bringing that. And yeah, we want it in that up armored BTR-80, and to be honest, getting an autocannon on these for 10 points. Probably don't need the grenade launcher. Although it seems to upgrade the... No, it's actually degrading the autocannon. The autocannon is losing magazine size. You see, you've got more total ammo, but you're losing magazine size, which means it's got to reload faster. Although it says reload time 0. Either way, I think the autocannon by itself is probably sufficient, and we're going to do that here as well. We're going to get an autocannon for 10 more points. I think it's very, very worth it. So, yeah, we've got Conker's M, and we're getting an autocannon, and we've got it up armored. So it's only 5 points for the armor and everything. I think it's very worth it. So we probably don't need 4 of those. I tend to find that 2 is sufficient, but we'll see if we need it. Then we need some infantry AA, of course. So this is like an Igla, but newer. It's a new Igla. As you can see, it's called a Verba. And sadly, this doesn't come in a wheeled transport, which is a total nightmare. Because what happens if you want to do a wheelie attack at the start, which is what we want to do. But you can use transports from other units, so don't worry about it. As long as you bring in this, you can take it in somebody else's transports, such as the BTR-80 transports. So, yeah. I mean, I don't really... What is that? It's another battle taxi. Barbaris. So I would like one of these. This is basically like a super IFV, as you can see. I'm not sure what a boomerang is, but... Okay, so it's 30mm and this is 57, which is obviously better because it's got attackers on it as well, which are a newer ATGM. You can compare it to the Cornet, which has more range, but the attacker has 11 damage, whereas the Cornet has 13, so... Okay, what? I could have sworn the attacker was better. Does it have a speed on it? Does it have a speed on it? But this has 4. I don't get that at all. As you can see, we're yet to find a game, but don't worry about it, guys. We'll get a game any second now. Any second now. So what you can do is bring the Verba with the Barbaris, just so you've got Barbaris if you need it. But, I mean, for 255 points, I don't really see the point when you can bring cheaper IFVs, right? But I don't have any IFVs, so let's bring it. So 2 of these with 2 of those, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be bringing these with those. So the next thing we're missing would be some close range line infantry, basically, because this is a meta squad. These guys are like special forces, basically, but we need some meat for the machine, some close range guys. So these guys are really good at storming towns and stuff because they've got flashbangs, or you can give them thermobaric RPGs, which makes them even better at storming towns because they can shoot those at basically everything. But like, you don't really need that in this game. There's very, very few situations where you need to storm an enemy position without masses of fire support leveling into it, and you just need the infantry to do cool flashbang stuff. Usually you run forwards and you just die, so it's usually not worth it. Whereas these guys are a bit more well-rounded, a bit more long-range with the RPKs and stuff, and so I'd rather bring them, and they're going to be my line infantry. And we're going to be bringing them with the auto cannons and the up armored. We're going to have lots of BTR-80s in this div. And that'll do me just fine. I mean, the other thing you can bring is Guard Moto Strelki, which... Like, so these are Marines, whereas these are just infantry. Difference between them... The Marines have 1 less guy. And they've got worse guns, I think. Because the AK-12 seems to be about the same. We're still waiting for a 5th guy to ready up there. They actually seem like stack clones of each other. It's just because there's 1 more guy, it's got more ammo. Which is weird, because one of them's got an optic on it, but whatever. But yeah, the main thing is to have 1 more guy is very, very useful. Is it worth 10 more points? Well, the next thing we need to look at is the RPG. So the RPG is better on the Moto Strelki. It is a lot better, so that's probably paying for it. Because yeah, they've got more HP because there's more of them. But if you think about, so this is, I mean, it's basically the same, because this is 7 men for 70 points, so 10 points a man, and this is 8 men for 80 points, so 10 points a man. So the next thing is but these guys have better RPGs, right? But they don't come in the BTR-80s, which is sort of what I want. I need the BTR-80s for my cool wheeled attack, which is sort of the point of what we're trying to accomplish here. So we've got to take the Marines. But I just wanted to look at the PKM versus the RPKM, and you can see that the PKM can actually, or PKP, can shoot further, which is not inconsequential, actually. If you're in a fight and one guy can shoot further than the other one, you can see like this is all 400, whereas this one goes to 600, which can be useful. But this can be fired on the move, whereas this can't. And but this does more damage, 2.6 versus 1.9. It's got more penetration. Yeah, so it's obviously better, and it's got more ammo. So these guys are a better squad, but they're coming in a worse transport. But the thing is that I'm going to attack with wheeled stuff, and then I can back it up later with tracked stuff, right? There's nothing against that. There's nothing wrong with that. We could also bring 2 of each, right? There's no real... Well, okay, we can't really. So I guess we got to bring the Marines just for the BTRs, but it's obviously rough because the Motostrelki are the better squad. They're just coming with worse transports. And yeah, these guys, I really just don't see the point of them. I've seen people use them against me, and usually they run across a field and a tank shoots them before they show up. If they do get to you, they do kill you, but usually it doesn't happen, to tell you the truth. So that's that tab sorted. We can't afford another one of these, which is a bit of a shame, actually. So what we're going to do is get rid of 2 PTRKs, and that'll allow us to get a bunch more of these. There we go. Now we're up to the limit as well, because we probably don't need more than 2 Conquers, given that we've also got Metis. So that should be sufficient. It's just a shame these guys can't come in a wheeled transport, but we can still bring them in BTR-80s, I believe, depending on... So this suits 8 men, and this is 14. Oh, so I guess we can't. 8 men, 8 men, 8 men. Oh, that's a shame. So these guys are just going to be slower. There's nothing to it. They're just going to be slower. They're just a chonky squad, I suppose. I didn't really talk about this. These are grenade launchers. I assume they're going to be very useful against light targets, but I feel like there are better ways of killing light targets, such as having a bunch of BTR-80s. So there you go. We've got a wheeled fist backed up by an armored fist, and that's what having 2 divisions is all about. You get 2 divisions, so we've got our wheeled, coastal troop guys backed up by tanks. So you get there at the start, or near the start, and then you hit them hard, right? So support tab. This is your artillery. So you need long range AA. That's really useful, and you don't really want to skimp on it. So that has a lot of missiles, whereas this is probably going to be longer range because it's an S300. It's weird that there's no S400. I guess that's too big. So it's got longer range. It's obviously doing more damage and stuff. It's just so that the S350 can target 3 enemies at once, which is not inconsequential. The range is better on the S300, and I'll be honest, how many times do you see 3 enemy planes attacking you at once in this game? It's always 1 or 2, so I don't really see the point. Might as well get this. It's also cheaper, but you can upgrade it to get 2 giant missiles, which honestly, that makes it more like a Patriot, and it gives it more range, but it actually costs less. Well, I would prefer that, because then I can buy 2 of them for cheaper, and then because I never want it to act alone anyway. And then I'm still firing 4 missiles at 1 plane because I've got that, and I'm saving 100 points between the 2 of them. So I'm going to be doing that. It's a shame you can't bring 1 of each. Then we can get like ballistic missiles and stuff. So this is an Iskander M, And you can swap it out for cruise missiles, which go further, but they do less damage, and they have more dispersion. And the aim time's longer, so I would prefer the ballistic missile. Because, like, you know, do I really need that extra range? Probably not. And this also has an ignore cover variable, which means that it's going to do a lot more damage. Still not found a game yet, but I'm sure it'll be okay. But basically these, I'm pretty sure you've got to... I'm pretty sure you need the enemy to laser target, but maybe you don't. Maybe you don't. What about the cruise missiles? It doesn't actually tell you. I guess we'll find out. Here we go, we can launch again. I'm sure we'll get a game, guys. Any second now we'll get a game. Any second. So that's that. And I always like having... so that's my like mega long-range RT, I suppose. It's always worth having an MLRS as well to saturate positions. And the burrito is probably that. You can get a TOS 1A, which I think is a lot better simply because... it's got more range. Like, you see the range on this is actually really low. It's only 1,500 meters. Whereas this is 2,400, which can save your life. I'm just looking at the other values. Sadly, the supply value is higher and stuff like that. But the... There's probably no point putting armor on it. Given that it's not supposed to get hit, but given how short the range is on it, it might do. So it might actually be worth putting armor on it. I'm just looking at these. I think the extra range is just so necessary. But you see that even the dispersion is higher, so it fires less missiles, costs more supply, but it's just all about that range, man. I think the range is going to save my life. Because these things are very difficult to use at close ranges. Like if you're 1,500 meters away from the enemy, I'm pretty sure that's within ATGM range. We just go back to the Conkers here. That is 1,600. So I would like to not be in ATGM range. So I'm willing to pay a bit more for that. And I can't see myself needing more than one of these, but we might get the points for it. Then, you know, we need to think about close range AA, or mid-range AA, because we've got the man pads. So what goes with my tank push? This seems quite expensive for what it is, and so I would like a Bruiser instead, because it's nice and cheap, and I can also get it with Iglas, and I can also make it a recon, but then it can't... okay, so if I've got this, it can shoot missiles. That's actually so cool. And then I can put Iglas on it, which I probably don't need. Like, what do I need Iglas for? If I've got guns. I mean, it just makes it so much more expensive. It literally makes it more expensive. And so we won't be doing that. So we'll get 4 of those. Nice and cheap. And then I would like some mortars. That would be really cool. So the Nona SVK is probably that, but they don't carry very many shells. But we don't really have any better options here. Like, that is just a tracked Nona, and it does carry a lot more shells. But I can buy 2 of these for the price of 1 of those. So let's do that. What is RAP? Laser guided rounds. I mean, in the heat of the moment, it's usually just not... There's no point, basically. So it's 2,100 meters, 2,400 meters. You just get the cheap one, and just get 4 of them. That's Soviet doctrine there. Obviously we're playing as the Russians here. So yeah, that is probably that tab. Obviously it says we can buy some more. Why don't we get another one of these? Why not? And get some more of these until we overspend. There we go. It's a shame you can't up-vet them in this game. There's no veterancy in this game like there is in Warno. But you've probably never heard of Warno, so let's just move on. I've gone a bit over there, but it's fine as long as we stay below the total. Helicopters. So we don't get many helicopters. That's more of the airborne guys. In fact, yeah, we're really struggling for helicopters here. So this is a nice, funny marine helicopter. It looks very funny. Looks very funny. And you can put, you know, rockets on it. You can put ATGMs on it. Which one's got more range? 1700, 1600. 10 damage, 11 damage. Well, it costs a lot more, but... Basically, I just need a platform with which to shoot enemies. Having said that, this is probably what that is for. Because you can put... what is a Hermes A? 2,000 meters fire and forget. Does it require anything? It says you only get 2, but this says 8, but that says 2. Is it because I've got 2 pylons? Okay, so that's probably what we're going to be bringing. You can fire a cruise missile. Probably don't need that. I would like the Hermes. So this is my anti-tank platform, I guess. It's very expensive. And I would prefer the larger rockets because presumably, yeah, they've got more range. And we want to be as far away from our enemies as possible, and we can really not afford much of anything. This is going to be very, very useful for supplying our guys. But yeah, we can go over, it's not a big deal. As long as we stay under this, we should be alright. Like, look, you can even throw this in. So, this is actually just going to be for shooting people. The autocannon, what's the range? 1,000 meters. What's the range on the rockets? 1,200. Okay. So this is just for shooting people, in case we need to shoot some people. And as you can see, we've gone way over there, but I guarantee you it doesn't matter. Still looking for a game. I'm sure we'll find one, guys. I'm sure we'll find one. I'm sure we'll find one. So we've gone over there. I think if you go over a little bit, this might actually stop me from using it, but I think it'll be fine. Last tab, air, and we don't have many points to spend. So you can go for all the really funny cruise missile, air, and stuff, but we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to be buying ASFs to try and defend ourselves. So it would be cool, actually, if we could get something with cruise missiles or something like that, but we're not playing as the airborne guys, so it's just not really our mainstay. Having said that, you really can just get a bunch of air-to-ground missiles on this and just use it just as... So I can just put 4 cruise missiles on this. I mean, it's expensive. Do I really need more than 2? So there you go, that's my cruise missile launcher, and then I need an ASF, something to actually shoot down enemy planes. So between these two, what's better? Oh, this has 4, so I guess that makes it better. And I probably don't need ground rockets. I don't intend to be doing anything on the ground with this. So we'll buy 2 more of those. And I'm going to level with you, mate. We probably don't need that many missiles. But yeah, we'll get some infrared missiles. Although comparing these, which one's better? This is better, okay. And plus ECM pods. That would be really, really useful. So this is basically going to give us electronic countermeasures, which might save our life. But although we're paying 50 points for it, it'd actually probably be better just to get a cheaper plane. Because for only 10% ECM, it's a lot of money for 10% ECM, which is probably not going to work anyway because I'm unlucky. Basically, it gives the enemy a 10% miss chance, but he's going to hit you anyway. He's going to hit you anyway, so... So yeah, we've got plenty of long-range missiles, a couple short-range missiles, a couple more short-range missiles. Well, okay. These are actually more long-range missiles. A couple short-range missiles, and then a couple more short-range missiles, and then there you go. So that's our... although that's 45 points. For 50 more points, I can get ECM. No, I think that's probably enough missiles. It's probably not. Let's get that. So there you go. That's our ASF. But now we're over points, and you see that we still haven't found a game yet, guys. But don't worry, we're going to get a game any second now. So we've got 1 ASF, 1 strike craft. That's probably sufficient. And all we've got to do now is save 150 points somewhere, and it's probably got to be here. It's probably got to be here. So we probably should only bring 1 helicopter of this kind for supply and stuff. And another thing I have forgotten here is that I'm not bringing a like a supply van, although it seems that we don't have that capacity in this division, which is kind of weird. Like, this is my supply. Okay, I mean, it's a bit expensive, but sure. And we probably don't need... Like, we only need 1 of these. and that's probably fine. Get 2 of these. Oh, we can launch now? Yeah, we're going to get a game, guys, any second now. So, there you go. Now we're under points. But I do wonder, because it seems to just let me do this. So I think it'll be alright if we just continue to do this. So, there you go. So there you go. There's our Russian Marine tank division. I'm sorry it took so long, but I showed you all the marine stuff and all the armoured stuff, and it takes a long time there, and we still haven't managed to find a game in 40 minutes. So if you enjoy making me suffer trying to play this game, which clearly doesn't work, please do like the video, please do comment on the video, and thank you to the generous channel joiners whose support funds these videos. I'll see you around. Hey guys, small apology, or at least big apology for a small error. Basically, yeah, it doesn't let you search if it's red. If it's orange, it doesn't care, but if it's red, it doesn't actually let you select the deck. So the one that we're going to have to get rid of is one of these, and then this anti-infantry gunship has just got to go, I'm afraid. We simply just don't have the points for it. That makes it orange, and then that means that we can use it. If you want to find somewhere to put an extra 50 points in, you certainly can. Maybe you can get another supply vehicle. But, you know, does it really matter? Probably not. Right. I'll see you around. Thank you for your patience.